Hello, I want to tell this story about my recent visit to the Middle East, to particularly Jordan, and visiting Petra, although they say Petra, so you get in trouble if you say Petra. Extraordinary events that God blessed to unfold while I was there. Listen, what you're about is just me filming with my little single camera and stuttery and waving everywhere, so you might get a little seasick watching it, but hopefully you can see some sights that you haven't seen before, and probably if you visit there maybe you can just renew the things that you've already seen. But this is my first visit and it was fantastic. It was unbelievable. I had no idea it would be this way. And coming from this area, if there is a place, I prefaced that wrong. Since there is a place of safety, I can't imagine any other place other than this one. And also I can't imagine God telling us the whole world where it is, so people can go over there and bomb it and, settle in where He's got to exterminate them out. So much awesome, miraculous things will be done to the area anyway for God's people, those who will come under God's protection. But I tell you, I didn't know it was like this. Now listen, I want to set it up, and again, this is not some Steven Spielberg rendition of something, it's just my single camera waving all over the place, and so don't get mad at me. But it was awesome. First of all, in going there, before we go through this, I waited too long, I procrastinated, and I had a long time to get there, and I didn't get there when I was supposed to. People have left my hotel weeks in advance to go to Petra. I'm in Jordan. It's about 3.5 hours away by taxi. And so when I did decide to go, of course I didn't go early that morning like you're supposed to go, around 6 o'clock a.m. Now I'm telling you all this for a reason, and I'll get to it. I was supposed to leave around 6 a.m. and we ended up procrastinating. I ended up leaving around 9 a.m. and of course the taxi was upset with me, so we speed off to Petra. And in going there, it starts to rain heavily. I'm telling you, it rained so much. I started praying that God would intervene, of course, and stop the rain. Recently Tim, my best friend in the world and in the church, had a similar event where he had to pray to God and ask Him to stop the rain. Because they had cleanup duty after the Rose Parade, which he gets, thousands of dollars to do. And so he wanted, God to, they had, said there was going to be rain. My wife came in that morning and said, oh, there was going to be a downpour. It's going to be pouring rain and it's going to be awful. And Tim Spurgeon prayed to the great God of heaven, and it did not rain. It did not rain. It did not rain on the time that he needed to clean up that place. It didn't rain until 2-3 days later, afterwards, and after that parade. No, God directly intervened for his prayer. And just like He did for that, He did for me. I was praying that it would not rain, but it kept raining. It was raining and raining and raining and raining so much I just, you start thinking in the back of your head, well, what did I do? Why aren't you going to answer my prayer just like you answered, my buddy's prayer? And, your faith, wanders and wavers, but God will intervene, as He always does, for those who, well, I was going to say for those who please God, but I would have to say for those He chooses to have mercy upon, like Chuck Thompson. And that He did. It was a beautiful thing the way it unfolded. It just continued to pour down, so much so we got into the elevations of coming to the mountain of the Petra area, and it starts snowing, and it starts snowing so much and so heavily I thought I was in Chicago. Now listen, I'm from Chicago. I'm from the Windy City, where drifts of snow was just coming, just big giant flakes just coming all down around the taxi. The taxi driver had to drive about 5 miles an hour lest we slip off and go down the mountain area. It was just that bad. It was just that icy, and it was just that cold. When you see it, you'll understand. I mean, of course, I'm not filming it right, and you can't hear me and everything. And that's why I'm explaining to you now what's coming up to what you're about to see. And I don't want you to come into the middle of the story without an explanation. But it was a remarkable thing, and then I knew. I understood why God allowed it to rain and then snow. It's hundreds of miles, okay? Maybe 150 miles or whatever, 150, almost 200 miles from the Jordan area to Petra, okay? Going up the mountain area. And to take that track in the snow would be treacherous. And immediately it came to my mind and my understanding the scripture that everyone always wonders about, that sticks out, that we always trumpet it and say, how God mentioned the Sabbath day. Remember, pray that your flight is not in the wintertime or on the Sabbath day. That's what it is. Pray that your flight. Pray that your flight. He reminds us to pray that our flight is not on the Sabbath day nor in the wintertime. And to me, that is the most important verse coming through this snow. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles through the snow. It's just amazing. It was just, in some areas it was probably waist deep. And we would simply, those who were fleeing, going from whether they were going from Judea or whether they were going from Jordan or whatever area, going through that snow up to that mountain, to that area, or to any area in that region, would die in the snow, literally freeze to death. And to me, that was a blessing because who knows when I'm going to go back to Petra. Hopefully I'll go back with everyone else. But I would not have the understanding that I have now. Now, of course, we finally got there, hours late, and when we got there, of course, many people were leaving the area because of the snow and because of the rain and because of the fog, the thick fog all over the place. So much fog you could not see in front of your face if you held your hand out like that. Okay, that's how thick this fog was, and we were going, like I said, 5 miles an hour up and down this icy track road, this 2-lane road, so we don't slip off the road. It was just that bad. And when we got there, of course, they said, okay, well, we're not going to open. I'm sorry, but you have to come back. Now, I couldn't come back. The next day I had to be in Tel Aviv for a trade show, which is the biggest purpose, the reason why I came to the Middle East in the first place. And so, I said, well, okay, listen, we're going to go eat. He said, why go eat? One of the guides was telling my taxi driver, in the Arabic language, he said, take him back. You're not going to be able to get back if you don't go back now. And he was right, because it was snowing so hard, we would probably have to stay in a hotel. I would miss my flight, I would miss the trade show, I would miss everything. So, in the back of my mind, I'm saying, okay, why do I have to go back? And it was just that bad. I said, well, listen, we'll go eat. Take 2 hours and, maybe we'll come back. He says, no, don't come back. We're not going to open. We haven't opened all week, he said. There were people coming in, from the surrounding hotels and things like that have been there for a week, trying to get in every single day. And every single day they say, no, we're not going to open. Every single day. And, this was the worst day. Actually, the day before, it was a little sunny outside and they still had it closed. So he said, listen, you don't have to come back some other time. I'm sorry. So we went to go eat, and I said, no. God is not going to bless me to come all the way up here. And even though it was my fault, I came 2 days late, and I didn't come on time. I didn't know that it was closed all week, though. But still, great God of heaven, I need your blessing. And so we ate and everything else like that. And the taxi driver said, listen, we're going back. We need to go back. I said, no, come on, let's eat. We'll wait for a little bit, and then, maybe hoping against hope. It just was falling through big time. There was no hope, because he called one of the guides, and the guide said, listen, I told you, my friend, I told you, do not come back here. It is not going to open. What are you going to do? Walk through the lobby. It's not going to open. And we are turning people away now. And so he was telling me, we were sitting at the table eating. We went to this other, this restaurant, this other hotel just to eat. And, he said, we have to go back, my friend. We're not going to be able to get back. Now he wants to get paid. He wants to drive me there and drive me back. He doesn't want to go through all this. I said, listen, we'll finish our meal and then we'll go back. And He said, listen, okay, listen, in half an hour, I'm going to call him back. He called him again. He talked to him again. He talked to the guy. The guy said, listen, we are not going to open today. He wanted to hand me the phone. I said, no, I'll talk to him after I finish, I said, we'll just go and talk to him there, He says, there's no reason to go back. He said, we need to get back and go back towards Jordan, otherwise we can't get back. And so I said, well, I can't come all this way. At least we're going to go back and see it. At least we've been, just to satisfy my own curiosity. So, he had me call him about a half an hour later. Now we're still sitting at the table. And I called him. I said, listen, is there any possible way that you can open? Don't come back here. At this point, he's getting irritated. Don't come back here. It's closed. Closed for the day. Closed for the day. Closed for the day. I said, okay, well, we'll come back and just, see the place. I don't know whether he hung up on me or how the conversation ended now, but it didn't end good. And the driver said, okay, so let's go back. We're gonna go back to to the hotel, to Jordan. I said, you know what? No, let's just. He sighs, so we drive back. Now it's bad, and we're sliding on the road. We get lost. We don't really find our way going back right. And finally we get familiar, and we get to the place, and it's the same. It's just bad. The fog is thick and everything. We park the car. We park the taxi car. I get out of the car. As soon as I get out of the car, I see that thick white fog start to lift up from the ground. Unbelievable. It's almost like, when you can't see. I don't know, none of you're from Smogadina, you can't see anyway. But if you're from Chicago and you got the ice on your window and you can't see out and the snow is there, and you take your window wipers and you wipe them, but it doesn't do any good because the frost is there. And then you turn on your defrosters, and then you can see at the bottom where the heat is hitting the window shield and the ice is kind of lifting up. That's how it was. Right before my eyes, everything just clearing, like somebody just took a big giant fan and said, and it was just going up rapidly, very, very quickly. Unbelievable. I started jumping up and down. I could not, unfortunately, believe my eyes, although I know that I know it was the great God's hand doing what he did. It was just tremendous. A powerful, powerful example of God's mercy and love and answered prayer, all wrapped up in one. And the driver, he was astonished. He didn't know what to say because he looks silly because of all the, adamant words of let's go back, let's do this, Now listen, we don't know it's open, but the fog is lifting, okay? People are coming out from everywhere. They are in their hotel rooms. They are in these little cottages areas, and they're all over the place. Like there was a switch that went off, and they all came out at the same time. All of these people that have been there for a whole week waiting to get into Petra, and there I was. We came up to the guide. He wouldn't even look at me. At this point, he talked to me. I don't know whether he was cursing me or whatever. I don't know the Arabic language, but he didn't want to see me, and he just pointed out, for me to go out and get my ticket outside because now it is open. No, they didn't open it. The great God of heaven opened it. He lifted the fog. The rain stopped. It stopped even being cold. Awesome. Just wonderful. Tremendous. Unbelievable blessing from God. I'll never forget it. So this is where we are. Actually, your first scene will be us driving up in the snow, and the next scene you'll see me filming something, the Indiana Jones, remember the Indiana Jones movie, what was it, the Holy Grail, and they went to Petra and to get the Holy Grail or whatever. Now they have whole Indiana Jones, souvenir shops and stuff like that, and it's not good quality, okay? And it's not good quality for a long time in here because I got my light on and it seems like it's really flashy, but the quality does get up and it gets better. And there's, you know, scenes here. Hopefully I'll intervene and explain some other stuff to you because you won't understand what's going on. But here's my experience. I'm sorry for such the long introduction, but I felt it had to be told and hopefully remembered. Here's my trip, my blessed trip, given to me from the great God of heaven, going to the Middle East, Jordan, and into Petra.